And welcome back to Sports Weekend on the first Saturday in October. I'm Ken Daniels. If you're just joining us, we have the Ironman Triathlon and the European Figure Skating Gala coming up this afternoon, plus Scott Oak with a look ahead to tomorrow's CFL game on CBC Saskatchewan at Calgary. Today, our triathlon team of Steve Armitage and Steve King continue their trek with an event from the BC interior. The Budweiser Ironman Triathlon begins in Penticton, British Columbia, 4 years ago. It's a true Ironman competition because of the length. The 2.4-mile swim, 112 miles on the bike, followed by a marathon run, 26.2 miles. David Kirk, the only Canadian to win this triathlon, was the 1986 champion and was leading the final stage in 1987 when heat and the terrain ganged up to knock him out of the race, with Washington State's Tom Price claiming the victory. The following year, a special athlete arrived, the only two-time winner of the event, and he's back to try for a third straight. We meet him now at the Budweiser Ironman Triathlon.
1988, a newcomer to Ironman competition, Dean Lindell of Victoria, BC, sets a course record in the swim and bike splits. But once again, the distance and terrain take their toll on the 18-year-old. But these factors are perfect for an ultra-distance specialist from Escondido, California, who becomes the first to shatter the elusive 9-hour barrier. His name is Ray Browning. And he would win for a second time in 1989. The question is, can he complete the hat trick in 1990? Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 5th Ironman Canada from beautiful Penticton, British Columbia. I'm Steve Armitage along with Steve King. And Steve, fair to say this is the best field ever for this event.
Best field for this event, and I believe it's second only possibly to the field we've seen in the Hawaiian World Championships. We have not only defending champion Ray Browning, but we have two-time Hawaiian winner Scott Tinley, 1988 Hawaiian winner Scott Molina, Kenny Glar, recently second in New Zealand by 1 second, people like Paul Huddle, Jeff Devlin. We've got a couple of Europeans we have to watch for. Dirk Asmonite, who's done an 8:23, Hannes Blaschke, and the Canadians, of course, let's not forget them, Brian Countryman, Jamie Benninger, 1986 Ironman champion, David Kirk.
Let's talk about what should be another battle between Paula Newby-Fraser and Erin Baker.
Indeed, let's do that because that is the matchup of the year. Erin Baker, of course, has won in Hawaii before, and Paula Newby-Fraser, a three-time Hawaiian Ironman winner, but we believe we could see a sub-9-hour time. That will be a world record. Someone else they've got to watch out for, though, is Australian Jan Wanklin, who recently won in Germany with a good time, 9 hours 21. And let's not forget the record holder, Paula Johnson, back in the field, her time to beat 9 hours 50 minutes.
First up to get this competition underway will be the grueling 2.4-mile swim in Okanagan Lake. The swim course is slightly different from last year, but still your basic triangle. The first leg is 1.8 kilometers northwest. The second leg is 1.3 k south towards the SS Sycamus. The final stretch to the beach is 0.77 k. And the swimmers are in the water and underway. And Steve King, you have to be concerned about that water temperature.
Certainly do. The last time we had temperatures around this was in 1984 when it was not an official Ironman distance. And in fact, then they brought the swim course closer to shore. Today, though, I'm sure the athletes are very pleased with the water conditions because on Wednesday, they were about 56 degrees because the entire Okanagan Lake had turned over because of the winds. So, in fact, the athletes are happy with today's conditions after the period of acclimatization. And it looks as though the leader already is David Kirk, who is in fact living in Penticton at this time. He is the 1986 Ironman Canada champion, and we saw him back in 87. That was the year he set the fastest time for the course. The swim course, he did a 47:30. He would certainly hope to beat that or be around that today if he's to get anywhere or get in that top 10 overall. Other athletes you can see there are waiting a lot of the swimmers to get out the way so that they don't get bashed around during the swim portion because we have a field of 946 triathletes who have taken to the waters of Okanagan Lake this morning.
The start of the swim race is always a very critical point in any triathlon, simply because of the crowded conditions in the water.
They certainly are. And the other thing to watch out for, of course, is getting knocked, making the turns. That's where they start to crowd. Fortunately for the athletes, this is a very basic and very simple course. 2 left turns at the buoys and then back towards that finish area. Great shot from underwater there, different styles, and you can see nearly everybody today will be wearing probably full-length wetsuits if they had them. I didn't see anyone on the beach who wasn't wearing a wetsuit. David Kirk, it appears though he's opened up just about 4 to 5 meters at this time, and it appears to be Ken Glar in second place. So local man and the swim favourite. He is a 2-time winner of the Scar Lake Ultra Swim here in Penticton.
Our coverage of the 5th Ironman Canada continues.
The Ironman Triathlon on Sports Weekend, brought to you by Budweiser. The clean, crisp taste that says, this Bud's for you.
Introducing the all-new Central, the guts and the glory.
Scandia Golf and Games for great indoor and outdoor family entertainment. Adventure is par for the course on Scandia's 2 large-scale 18-hole miniature golf courses. Whether you golf indoor or outdoor, Scandia's a fantasy land of family fun. And if it's games you want, there's games galore. Over 100 video, pinball, and skill testing games in all. Scandia Golf and Games, something for everyone, 7 days a week, all year round. Highway 97, Kelowna.
Welcome back to our coverage of the 5th Ironman Canada from Penticton, British Columbia. I'm Steve Armitage along with Steve King as we look at the leading woman, and that is Bonnie Dirty, who now lives in California, but she is a Canadian.
She is, and she's the holder of the women's record for the swim with a time of 49.51 set last year. But close on her heels, we have Jan Wanklin and Paula Newby-Fraser. And the men at this time, Dave Kirk, the Canadian, leading from Ken Glar and Bill Penn of Olympia, Washington. Bill Penn, known for his swimming abilities, he has come out the water in Hawaii in second place on the swim, but he's not that fast a biker or runner. So if he can hold a top 100 overall, he'll be doing well today.
And Penn is using some of that swimming ability to make a move. He has passed Ken Glar and moved into second place.
And meanwhile, Dave Kirk is making a little move further away. He wants to get back that record from Chris Hinshaw, who set a time of 48.39 last year. But last year's female winner for the swim portion, Bonnie Dirty Spivey, still out front, and she's gaining just a metre or 2 at this time. Her record was 49.51. She is a couple of months pregnant, Steve, by the way. So I would expect to see her at least a few seconds slower today. But meanwhile, our leader, David Kirk, he's opening up more and more ground between him and second place of Bill Penn. David Kirk raced last week in Kelowna. He placed 3rd overall there. Look at this battle going on in the women's race now. Australian Jan Wanklin doing very well. Her husband Ken Glar in 3rd place in the men, but she is now assuming the lead in the women's swim portion of the race.
And we've always known that Jan Wanklin is a very strong swimmer.
We're able to see from the air just what a lead Dave Kirk has. As I mentioned, about 1 minute and 20 seconds with 770 meters remaining for Bill Penn of Olympia, Washington, and Ken Glar, the beast from the east, from Westchester, Pennsylvania.
I love that name, the beast from the east.
And as we look at David Kirk, let's take a look at the map and see how far Penn and Glar have to go, as well as the other 900-plus triathletes who are in the waters of Okanagan Lake.
That final swim to home is 0.77 kilometers.
And as we look down on that second turn, we're able to see the leading 3 women, and they are Bonnie Dirty, the Canadian, Jan Wanklin, the Australian, and Paula Newby-Fraser, the Zimbabwean. And they are within 2 minutes of David Kirk at this time, but it is very, very close for those top 3 ladies.
And it's no surprise to see the Australian Jan Wanklin currently sitting in second place in the swim. Jan, you've always been considered a strong swimmer. Undoubtedly, you'll be that here. Does that mean you have to go all out on the bike and the run?
Oh, yes. Once the swim's over, it's sort of a lot of hard work out there. But I'm always pleased once the bike ride's over. The run, I feel, is, you know, I have a fairly solid run.
The victory in Germany has to give you confidence.
Yes, it does. It seems like it wasn't all that long ago, though. I found it a little bit hard to get into training again after that, but we'll see how it goes.
With a few hundred meters to go in the swim portion of Ironman Canada, it's David Kirk, the leading man. Bonnie Dirty is leading the women's race. Jan Wanklin is in second place, and Paula Newby-Fraser currently sitting in third.
And it appears as though we're going to see Canadians in the men's and women's categories coming out of the water first. In second place, Jan Wanklin holding about a 2-second lead over Paula Newby-Fraser. But what they'll be thinking about now, as we look down on our leaders coming through, they'll be thinking about that transition. They've got to make a speedy transition before heading out onto the 112-mile bike ride.
And uppermost in the mind of our race leader, David Kirk, at this particular point in the race, is a record time for the swim.
It is indeed, Steve, the record held by Chris Hinshaw of the United States, a time set last year, 48 minutes, 39 seconds, as Dave Kirk, his third time here at Ironman Canada, his third time coming out of the waters in first place. And look at that time, it is 47 minutes and 36 seconds, a new Ironman swim course record for Dave Kirk, but he does have to complete the entire course as he goes through the Racemate timing system, shoot off with a band and into transition to make that move towards the bike course.
Now, this could be a very crucial part of any triathlon. Coming out of the water, get the wetsuit off. You're allowed some help in this part of the race, then into the clothing that you're going to wear for the bike race. And that's what David Kirk is doing right now. These are precious seconds as we look back into the water, see Bill Penn and Ken Glaw battling out for second and third place in the swim.
And to give you an idea of the quality of Dave's swim, that was an average of 12 minutes and 19 seconds per kilometre. He's looking around, hearing the announcer there, wanting to know who's behind and what sort of time he's got. We estimate about 2 minutes between himself and Penn and Glaw.
And I don't think this is a very quick transition for David Kirk. He seems to be struggling just a bit. Perhaps that cold water has taken its toll as David Kirk now makes his way towards the bike.
Well, remember, it's a little easier when you see where everyone else is going. When you're leading them through, you can get a little confused. One lady who now is also looking towards that transition, our women's leader, Bonnie Dirty Spivey.
But David Kirk is already in the transition area, and he is now on the bike. We time him at 1 minute and 19 seconds for the transition.
And I tell you, I'm really thrilled because he was only 1 second shy of the time he estimated for the swim. 47.36, an incredible swim, and 2 minutes clear of the second and third places as he heads out southwards on Main Street, Penticton. And coming up in second place, it is the man from Olympia, Washington, Bill Penn. His time, 49.36, exactly 2 minutes back, and just 2 seconds back of him, the beast from the east, Ken Glaw.
So we'll see what kind of a transition these two will have compared to David Kirk, who is already out on the bike course, 112 miles. There you can see the hand that the swimmers get when they come out of the water and taking off those wetsuits as we go back into the water and try and find our leading woman. That is Bonnie Dirty.
And we must remember Bonnie's specialty is swimming. We can estimate a time maybe around 50 minutes for her. She holds the record. That is about 49 minutes plus, 49.51 in fact. Bill Penn there looking a little confused. Remember, swimming also his specialty. He's probably going to lose a little ground on the bike and run. Coming out after a speedy transition is Ken Glaw. This is a man who's competed in Canada many times, recently second in our national championships. And as the women approach, you see the gap between first and second places. That is Ken Glaw's wife, Jan Wanklin, there in second place. But Bonnie Dirty now exiting the water, and her time, 50.47, and that's good for 5th place overall.
An excellent time for Bonnie Dirty. Then it's Jan Wanklin, who's in second place. But the first woman into the transition area is Bonnie Dirty.
and she now makes her home in Redondo Beach, California. She's originally out of Ontario. There she is, about to make the transition. Remember, I said she was a couple of months pregnant, so it'd be interesting to see whether she's able to complete the race. Meanwhile, Ken Clark going out onto the bike course already in second place. He's made up time in transition on Bill Penn. There's Paula Newby-Fraser coming out in third place, just 4 seconds back of Jan Wanklin. So very close and a very fine swim. And in fact, for Jan Wanklin, that time is only 7 seconds different, 7 seconds slower than when she won in Germany earlier this year.
As we look at Paula Newby-Fraser in the transition area, we can tell you that the transition time for Ken Glaw was 1 minute and 28 seconds.
But that swim of reigning Ironman world champion Paula Newby-Fraser in third place was a brilliant one. 51.14, just 4 seconds back of Jan Wanklin. And with her in transition was Scott Molina, one of the pre-race favourites. Came out of the water in 13th overall at 51.04. Back to Main Street, Penticton. It is still David Kirk leading now about 4 miles into the cycling course as he heads up towards Okanagan Falls.
And Ken Glaw currently sitting in second place. He's from Westchester, Pennsylvania, age 26. He's a veteran of Ironman and triathlon competitions. Now, the transition area may look like organized confusion, but it really isn't. The athletes know exactly what they're doing, and they're getting a lot of good support from the volunteers.
They certainly are. And one man they're looking for is a 2-time champion, Ray Browning, who's back here for a 3rd time, and he's got the stiffest competition he's ever faced here in Penticton. He's got Scott Tinley, who's come out with that lead group also at 50.58. He's got Paul Huddle at 50.57. He's got the European Dirk Aspenite at 50.49. And we're pleased to say there's another Canadian there in the form of Steve Irvine at 50.51. We've seen about 35 people exit the swim, and there is Erin Baker, indeed, of New Zealand. And her time coming out, 54.41 for 7th place in the women's race. So a lot of time to make up there, about 3.5 minutes behind Paula Newby-Fraser.
As we go back out on the bike course and we check in with our leader, David Kirk of Penticton. And now you can see the results of the swim. David Kirk of Canada with a record time of 47 minutes and 36 seconds. Then it was Bill Penn, Ken Glaw, Stuart Smith, Dirk Aspenite from Germany, and Steve Irvine from Canada. The women's leader at this point in the race is the native of Zimbabwe, Paula Newby-Fraser. And we spoke to Paula before the race began.
Can we expect another showdown between you and Erin here in Penticton, or are you likely to save it for Hawaii?
No, I mean, every time I'm out to race, I'm out to win. So, you know, we raced together for 7.5 hours out of 9 hours in Japan, and I'm sure she's in better condition now, and she's here to win. So, you know, these are such hard races to predict, but I hope so, because it makes it exciting.
She certainly made it exciting in the swim. Paula Newby-Fraser of Zimbabwe was 3rd after the swim with a time of 51 minutes and 14 seconds. But the leader coming out of the water was Bonnie Dirty of Canada with a time of 50 minutes and 47 seconds. Erin Baker was 7th coming out of the water.
It was indeed a thrill for the many locals who were there to witness the swim finish, to see who is now a local resident, David Kirk, coming out with a new course record, and he's still out there in front on the bike course. It is the man who's behind him who is going to fear, of course, as well as many of the others. Ken Glaw, known for his cycling and running abilities. He must have been thrilled by his swim today, exiting in 3rd place, a time under 50 minutes.
And there you see the cycle course for the 5th Ironman Canada, a distance of 180.2 kilometers or 112 miles.
On the new circular route, it will take them to the border town of Osoyoos, up the Richter Pass to Keramias, towards Okanagan Falls once again, and then they'll head back into Penticton to the transition area.
Scotty Webster is out of the swim. What an incredible story this is. As you can see, he's confined to a wheelchair. He was determined he was going to complete the swim. He went a little bit over the allowed time, but he still finished.
Oh, what a courageous and gutty effort by this man from Kamloops as he wheels his way through to that transition area. It's probably going to take him a little while, but it's good to see. Look at the beaming smile on his face. He must have put in a lot of hours of training for this race.
Back to the leaders in the bike portion of the Ironman Canada. That is David Kirk on the inside, and the yellow about to be passed by the looks of things by Ken Glaw.
And things are really hotting up here because shortly behind Ken there is another group, and they include Ray Browning, Scott Molina and Scott Tinley. And we have to remember this is the 4th race in the 5-race Ironman World Series. Our present leader in that series is Paula of Finland. He's not here, but in 2nd place tied is Browning and Glaw, and Tinley is in 4th place in that series. So great things happening here already.
It looks as if the hill has taken its toll on David Kirk.
Well, I'm not sure it's really taken its toll so much as he's got some world-class athletes with him here. These guys race week in, week out over Ironman distances. There is Scott Tinley just tapping Dave on the rear end there. They are good friends, and Tinley, a 2-time Hawaiian Ironman champion. And who do we see to his left? None other than 2-time Ironman Canada champion Ray Browning. And behind Ray, it is Scott Molina, the 1988 Hawaiian Ironman champion. So Scott Tinley now moving into 2nd place behind Ken Glaw.
And Tinley looks very relaxed at this point in the race, and you have to be relaxed as you come up Richter Pass.
And this is the first time we're witnessing Scott Molina here in the Okanagan Valley for Ironman Canada champion. What a shot there. Almost a pace line position between those three.
You can see the climb up Richter Pass to an elevation of 2,300 feet. It is a long, grueling climb. Now, let's go back to the women's race and get a report from Michelle Gibson.
Paula Newby-Fraser so far putting in a very strong showing. At 2 hours and 19 minutes into this race, she is at mile 37, just heading up Richter Pass. We are looking at a possible Ironman Canada women's record today, possibly a world record. She has looked very, very good since the start this morning. We are not seeing the race that we thought would happen between Paula Newby-Fraser and Erin Baker. We thought they'd be neck and neck. That has not been the case. Erin Baker came out of the water 3.5 minutes behind Paula Newby-Fraser. We see her there. She's really working hard to catch up to Paula Newby-Fraser, but she's going to have her hands full heading into Richter Pass. It's going to be awfully tough to catch up to her. Paula Newby-Fraser a full 7 minutes ahead of her right now.
North America's fastest flyers continue their chase for driving honors in the Championship Auto Racing Team Series for IndyCars. Ride from the Meadowlands to Long Beach, from Toronto to Vancouver for the most competitive auto sport action around. Stick with the leader. Sports Weekend for the best from kart. Our next race, October 13th, the Nazareth Indy.
I'm a birdman. Know what I am? I'm a birdman. I'm a birdman. Yeah, know what I am? I'm a birdman. And from one birdman to another, this bird's for you.
Right now, something terrific is happening at Petro Canada. When you purchase 4.39-cent force of Canada postage stamps for just $1, something magical happens. Each pack of stamps you purchase contributes to the Scouts Canada tree planting programs, part of their commitment and ours to a cleaner, greener Canada. Use your coupons to purchase all 8 packs of stamps. A postage stamp has never cost so little or meant so much. Petro Canada, committed to Canadians.
Husband has his wife arrested for adultery. Believe it or not, in some states, cheating on your spouse is a criminal offense, and you could go to jail for it. Blue laws, as they're called, are making a comeback, and more disgruntled spouses are calling police and asking, do you do adulteries? Well, we'll talk about these century-old laws and meet the people who actually had their spouses arrested for adultery. Next, Donahue.
Donahue, Monday at 4 on the Okanagan's very own CHBC.
Welcome back to the Budweiser Ironman Canada. I'm Steve Armitage along with Steve King, and that flashing dot you see on the map indicates where the cyclists are now. Just over 50 miles gone, and the leader continues to be Ken Glaw. But the story now is Steve Irvine of Canada, who has come from nowhere to challenge Ken Glaw for the lead.
And as Steve Irvine ever motored up the hills, this is the man from Halifax, Nova Scotia. We've seen him here the last couple of years at Ironman Canada. Last year he placed 11th, did an overall time of 9 hours 35. This is his strongest suit, however, so I would be surprised to see Ken Glaw let Steve get away.
Well, Ken Glaw has accepted the challenge from the Canadian. He's turned it on a bit, and he's gone back into the lead again.
But Steve Irvine, what a performance. This is a man who has competed a lot in Atlantic Canada, and he's won every single race he's ever competed in there.
Now back to the women's race, and we're looking at the wheels of the bike belonging to Paula Newby-Fraser. She is the leader.
She is indeed, and she's opening up even further gap over Erin Baker. This time it's about 8.5 minutes. So Paula has climbed really well. Erin Baker may be having some difficulty on the climb there. She is being passed by one of the male competitors, but they are approaching the top of the Richter Pass.
Erin Baker appearing to struggle a little bit on the climb. We mentioned it is a long, grueling climb. This is the easy part. They're coming down.
And they can really let loose down here. We've had some of these cyclists clocked at around 60 miles an hour as they fly down, get into that aerodynamic tuck position.
And that's what Steve Irvine of Canada is doing right now. He is in that position, and he is just motoring down Richter Pass.
And this is a real big surprise, Steve. It'll be great to see him if he can hold on to this to get to the bottom of the pass. But he's not able to do so. Look at that on the inside. Ken Glaw really flying there and pedaling like you wouldn't believe. He's probably up to 120 RPH at this time.
This gives you a good idea of how quickly these cyclists can move when they're coming downhill.
And there's a number of factors you have to take into account when they're in that position. The weight, the position, the pedal speed, and as close as they are to the ground. They all make the difference, making those final adjustments before they tuck in, the shoulders in close. And that is Scott Tinley now who's taken Irvine.
And that's the sign of a well-balanced athlete able to take on food at that speed.
Indeed it is. I'm really surprised that he can keep that sort of form and balance. But our leader, Ken Glaw, a man who would really love to get a win in an Ironman this year after a second place in New Zealand and a third in Germany.
And Paula Newby-Fraser continues to lead the women's race.
And we have to remember, Steve, this lady on 2 occasions has come very close to breaking that 9-hour barrier. She has done a personal best 9 hours and 56 seconds. Don't forget the overall Ironman Canada record, 9 hours and 50 minutes. I think we're certainly going to see that broken today.
Paula Newby-Fraser continuing to go well in the bike portion of the race. Erin Baker sitting in second position. Erin and I talked before the race, and she said she was going to change her diet prior to the Ironman in the hopes that it would give her more energy today.
And she'll need that energy, Steve, not only to try and catch Paula, but to hold off this lady who's just 5 minutes back and now in third place, Jan Wanklin of Australia.
And her husband is Ken Glaw, who has dropped out of the lead. Ray Browning has moved in front. Remember, he's going for 3 in a row. Scott Tinley is in second place, and then Scott Molina.
And it is Ken Glaw in fourth place, as Steve Irvine still in fifth place there as they come through now the village of Keramias.
And our race leader is Ray Browning from Escondido, California. You talk about a man with a ton of pressure on his shoulders. He would love to make it 3 in a row. We have now completed 2/3 of the bike race. 1/3 remaining.
And they're approaching an aid station with Ray Browning about to take some more, and he's taking it right in the stomach, a full bottle there. That's really winded him. Now look, he can hold his balance. I'm glad to see that, but he is suffering. Scott Tinley looking up, and look what's happened. Scott Molina has now moved through into the lead. Scott Tinley somewhat concerned to see what's happened to Ray. Hopefully Ray can continue. He is definitely winded there. I hope he's recovered, but now he's gone from first to third place going through that aid station. Wow, he certainly wouldn't have expected that to happen. Lots of drama here in Ironman Canada on the bike course. So our present leader now, the Terminator, Scott Molina.
This is Paula Newby-Fraser, who continues to lead the women's portion of the bike race. No such misfortune has fallen Paula in terms of taking a water bottle in the stomach.
There's drama now back on the cycle course. Scott Tinley, one of the pioneers of the sport, has now assumed the lead over Ray Browning. What's happened to Scott Molina?
Well, Steve, the one they call the Terminator, the news is not good. He has been sidelined by a puncture, terminated, so to speak.
Oh, that's a real shame because he's been dogged by bad luck this year in Japan. Earlier this year, his handlebar stem bolt broke and he had to hitch a ride back to the transition area. So he'll be very disappointed, but he's also a quick change artist when it comes to tires. So let's look at our leader now, Scott Tinley, once again, one of the giants of the sport as he's being chased by Ray Browning, who's gaining ground on him as they make one of the many descents in this course.
Remember, it was only a few moments ago that Ray Browning took that water bottle in the stomach. Obviously, no permanent damage, just winded, because he has once again taken the lead.
Oh, and look at this man go. It wasn't a few years back that these guys didn't have these handlebars. They were invented by a man called Boone Lynn, and now everyone is using them in the sport of triathlon. And many professional cyclists, such as Greg LeMond, are using them. There is Scott Molina. Let's watch him as he tries to replace that tube.
Paula Newby-Fraser, still the leader in the women's race, has not really been challenged at this point, and as Michelle Gibson pointed out earlier, we expected a much stronger challenge from Erin Baker.
We did, and both of them are very fine runners, of course, and Erin Baker can make up time, but again, we don't know the sort of form she's in today, and it is a long ways, 26.2 miles. Both these men who are now in the village of Okanagan Falls will be thinking about what's ahead, that marathon run.
Scott Tinley continues to lead Ray Browning, and you can see the lead that Tinley has on Browning as Scott Tinley takes on some water. He will need that as they finish the bike and prepare for the run in Ironman Canada.
One of the CFL's most effective combinations has been Kent Austin to Ray Elgard to lead the Grey Cup champion Saskatchewan Roughriders. Wally Buono's Calgary Stampeders will have to find a way to stop it. The Stampeders have an offensive threat of their own in Derek Crawford, who will have to be a factor against Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan and Calgary, Sunday, October 7th on the CFL on CBC.
We give you a smile as you start your day, check you out right on the dot, and see our cars have the best of care. Little things say a lot.
At Avis, we try harder means great service and great prices. That's why so many people choose Avis.
A friendly smile sends you on your way. Little things say a lot.
At Avis, we try harder every single day.
Talk about bad luck.
A snack will fix that.
Country Crock spreadable cheese product?
Mm-hmm. It's a new snack. Taste it.
Country Crock tastes great.
Great. Now, where are my 50 chips?
How about a tasty Country Crock snack?
How about all of them on account?
On account of what?
On account of you owe me 50 chips.
I do?
Yeah.
New Country Crock spreadable cheese products. Made with real cheese, but with less fat. Smart eating, great snacking.
Collect all Country Crock spreadable cheese products.
Play fair.
I can't resist the taste of victory.
You just can't resist the taste.
Mazda is going all out to have another record-breaking year. Mazda dealers are ready to make the deals that break the record. They are going to be saying yes more than ever before. Yes on Miata. Yes on MPV. Yes on every truck. Yes on every Mazda vehicle.
And they're all covered by one of the best full-line warranties in the business?
Yes.
So I'd better see my Mazda dealer right now.
And welcome back to Sports Weekend Control. We'll return to the triathlon in just a moment. First of all, let's check the CFL standings. Let's begin in the West Division, where Edmonton owns a 3-point edge over second-place Calgary, which hosts Saskatchewan tomorrow. BC is in fourth, another 7 points back. Turning to the East Division, Winnipeg now 4 in front of Toronto. Big game for those two teams last night, with Winnipeg winning. Ottawa and Hamilton each have 8 points for third place. Now, Scott Oak is in Calgary. He will check in later to preview the Saskatchewan-Calgary matchup featured tomorrow on the CFL on CBC. Calgary will also be the focal point of tonight's Hockey Night in Canada telecast. There are 3 games in all from Montreal, Edmonton, and Calgary, where host Ron McLean and crew are situated. Meantime, this afternoon, is Vestia goes to the post within the hour, chasing the Jockey Club Gold Cup at Belmont Park, and we will keep you up to date on that one. But now let's return to Penticton for the Budweiser Ironman Triathlon.
Back to Ironman Canada. I'm Steve Armitage along with Steve King as we follow Scott Tinley into the transition area. He will go from the bike and begin the marathon, 26.2 miles.
And the previous record for the bike split of 112 miles was 4 hours, 52 minutes and 59 seconds, set by Dean Lindland in 1988. That is about to be broken by Scott Tinley. We've got his time around 4 hours and 47 minutes, so that's a 5-minute improvement, and Scott Tinley already getting rid of some of that clothing as he will go through to the transition area and get ready to head out onto the marathon course. We look to see the difference between him and the second placer, Ray Browning, who's now coming through the crowd. They recognize their champion as he heads into the transition area. And Ray's time approximately for the bike split about a minute slower than Scott Tinley's. There he is already going out onto the run. Two-time Ironman past champion, as two-time Ironman Canada champion dismounts from his bike and will be set to go off onto the run.
And the time in the bike for Ray Browning, 4 hours, 48 minutes and 31 seconds. Let's see how quickly he goes from the bike to the run as Scott Tinley makes his way out onto the course.
So I tell you, Steve, unless something goes really haywire, we're going to see a new course record today. We've seen the fastest swim split. We've seen the fastest bike splits. Both these men now under the record that was previously set for the bike course. Ray Browning coming out in second place. Remember, he did that last year too when Chris Hinshaw held about 14 minutes over him as they went out onto the marathon course. Right now, there's just seconds between first and second places.
But this is the man in the lead, Scott Tinley. We remind you once again that he is a good runner, as is Ray Browning. Both are very capable on the road. And so is Paula Newby-Fraser from Zimbabwe. She has about 7 miles to go to the transition area. And the crowd is doing the wave. That is certainly going to help Paula.
It certainly is. And others who have done well include her boyfriend, Paul Huddle, coming through in third place. And just behind him, Scott Molina, who, despite losing about 3 minutes with that flat tire, is still recording a time under 5 hours for the bike portion, about 4 hours and 54 minutes, in fact. And just to give you an idea of the speed, Scott Tinley's time equates to about 23.4 miles an hour, averaging over that 112-mile course. So Paul Huddle going into transition now, a very fine ride from him.
And once again, the time in transition can be crucial. Molina seems to have slowed down somewhat, is taking his time. Huddle not wasting any time at all, getting into those running shoes as quickly as possible.
Indeed, and both these men are very fine runners. In fact, Paul Huddle was second to Ray Browning this year in Japan, just 3 minutes back. He had pulled back about 15 minutes on Ray Browning on the run course. So there he is, about to head out in third place. He'll be happy with that one, as will Paula when she sees him going out onto the run course, and I'm sure he'll be delighted to see the distance between Paula and Erin. And we have to remember, Scott Molina, his wife is Erin Baker, in fact. So fourth place for him at this moment, but a very fine ride after what happened to him out there on the bike course. So coming out onto the run in third place, Paul Huddle from Encinitas, California. And it's his first time here in Penticton, by the way. It appears that Scott's taking his time. He's taking his own pack with him. He knows it's hot out there today. This man wanted a race on a core course under these sort of conditions. So he'll be hoping to make up time on the run.
And these legs are definitely made for running. They belong to the gentleman wearing number 13. Not so unlucky for our race leader, Scott Tinley.
And he has a personal best on an Ironman course of 8 hours, 21 minutes, a time he recorded in Säter, Sweden, some years back. He's been in the sport since about 1974 when triathlon really started getting off the ground.
Tinley taking on fluid, and he'll need it for the run.
And there goes Todd Jacobs now going out onto the run. And the man who lost some valuable seconds in transition area was none other than West German Dirk Aschmanite, who is now in 8th place. And Dirk's time for the bike portion as he comes through, 5 hours and 5 minutes. So here we have Todd Jacobs going through in 7th place, and in 8th place, Dirk Aschmanite from West Germany.
Now let's check the results for the leaders in the men's bike. Scott Tinley with a time of 4 hours, 47 minutes and 36 seconds. Then it was Ray Browning, Paul Huddle, Scott Molina, Kenny Glaw, and Brian Countryman of Canada. But the leaders 5 miles into the run are Scott Tinley and Ray Browning, and it looks as if Ray Browning is going to make a move on Tinley.
And indeed, the last time these two men met was in Japan. Unfortunately, Tinley lost a lot of ground there when he was misdirected on the swim and in the bike, and Browning went on to claim his second victory there.
Now, what about a strategy at this point in the race, Steve King? Does Ray Browning take it out and try to lose Tinley?
I don't think so, Steve. I think we're going to see a battle of the likes of Dave Scott and Mark Allens last year on the lava fields of Hawaii.
Paula Newby-Fraser is making her way into the transition area from the bike. She is the leading woman in the competition, and she has a sizable lead over Erin Baker.
Does she ever? And her split right now is about 5 hours and 14 minutes for the bike. Remember, the course record for the bike held by 1988 champion Paula Johnson, a time of 5:32. So Paula has lost 18 minutes off that. That's an average of over 21 miles an hour.
And the time you see on your screen is total elapsed time. So for Paula Newby-Fraser, it is 6 hours plus.
Indeed, and if we're going to see a world record today set overall for an Ironman, she's got to do a sub-3-hour clocking. We have to remember the world record in an Ironman is held by Paula. That's a 3:05. She did that last year in Hawaii. And the best on this course, Julianne White's time of last year, 3:06.16.
Now, we know in the back of Paula Newby-Fraser's mind is the fact that Erin Baker is still on the bike course. She knows that she has to get through transition as quickly as possible and out onto the run to build up as big a lead as possible, because she knows that Erin Baker is very, very competitive and a very good runner.
Indeed, and I'm sure they'll see each other on Main Street, Penticton, as we take a look at second placer Erin Baker, who's now over 11 minutes back of our leader.
We're looking at Ray Browning, who continues to lead the men's race. Scott Tinley is in second place, and he looks to be struggling just a bit. Now, Paula Newby-Fraser, as you saw, went through the transition. She is out on the run. Erin Baker is coming into transition.
And, you know, Erin has had a very good bike split, even though she's lost some ground. Her time is going to be around 5 hours and 21 minutes as she comes in. So that's 11 minutes faster than the previous record for the bike course. But now she's about 11 minutes back of Paula Newby-Fraser. She's really got to fly it. And look at the time, 6 hours, 14 minutes as she comes through. So it looks like a sub-5 hour clocking is really out of the question for Erin.
And she looks like she's coasting.
She does at this time. It's really quite surprising. Remember, these ladies, the World Ironman Series on the line for them. It will come down to a head-to-head in Hawaii, but Erin would like to go away with this win. She did win in New Zealand.
Now, of course, the big question is, can Erin Baker make up that sort of ground on the run?
Well, Steve, she does a lot of single discipline races, and last year she did the big 7-miler. That is a really top-notch race, and she won that outright.
Paul Huddle from the United States currently sitting in third position in the run behind Tinley and Ray Browning.
And there are about 200 meters difference between Huddle and this man, the Terminator, Scott Molina from Boulder, Colorado. The man who recently won the National City Cleveland U.S. Trials. Coming out onto the run in third place is now Jan Wanklin, who in fact has given up a further 15 minutes on the bike to Erin Baker. Jan's time was 5 hours, 35 minutes for the bike, but she's a very fine runner also.
Jan is just beginning her run, while our race leader Ray Browning and Scott Tinley have made the turn and are now heading back towards the finish line in Penticton. And Browning is about to pass Paul Huddle, who's in third place, and now he's about to pass Scott Molina, who's in fourth position, heading the other way.
While Paula Newby-Fraser is having some foot problems on the very demanding run course.
Before this race began, we expected a showdown between Paula Newby-Fraser and Erin Baker. It is taking place on the run. Baker has gained a lot of ground on Newby-Fraser.
Absolutely amazing. She came off the bike 10 minutes ahead of Baker. This is Newby-Fraser, of course, and we expected her, therefore, to come in a convincing victory because they were close together in Japan, and Paula Newby-Fraser took 10 minutes out of Erin Baker on the run. But Baker, you can't discount her. She is coming back. It really is going to be a showdown here in Penticton for the 1990 Ironman Canada.
And that showdown is taking place right now, Steve King, because Erin Baker is about to pass Paula Newby-Fraser.
And she's pulled back 11 minutes. Given the heat and the course, Erin's either going to blow a gasket or set a marathon course record today.
Well, with Erin Baker from New Zealand having taken first place in the women's run, let's check the results in the women's bike. Paula Newby-Fraser with a time of 5 hours, 13 minutes and 59 seconds, followed by Erin Baker at 5:20.54. The top Canadian, Lori Bowden,
with a time of 5:39.07. There is lots of action remaining in Ironman Canada.
I'm a bird man. Know what I am. I'm a bird man. I'm a bird man. Know what I am. I'm a bird man. And from one bird man to another, this bird's for you.
One Tough Motor Oil announces one tough guarantee. The Quaker State 400,000 kilometers or 10-year guarantee. Register your new car at a participating service center. Then use only Quaker State. Have oil and filter changed as directed at a service center. And if any lubricated engine part suffers an oil-related breakdown within 400,000 kilometers or 10 years, you're covered. Quaker State guarantees it in writing. The big Q is one Tough Motor Oil.
I was so scared when I came to Canada. I missed my mother and father.
If you ask me, they're just after a quick buck.
But a family here looked after me until I finished school. It wasn't always easy.
The government trains them, and then there go our jobs.
Now, I have my own business with 4 employees. My only sadness is that I've never seen my family since.
Racism. If you won't stop it, who will? October 14th, the stellar field of thoroughbred stars contest the Rothmans International as they break from the gate at Woodbine in pursuit of $1 million purse. A lengthy turf test separating true champions and concluding Canada's thoroughbred season with a flourish. The Rothmans International, live on Sports Weekend.
About 1 mile outside of OK Falls in the run portion of the Ironman Canada, and it looks as if Scott Molina is making a move on Scott Tinley, and this will put Molina into second place in the run.
Indeed it will, and we have to remember both of these are members of what has been dubbed the Big Four, along with Dave Scott and Mark Allen. And now we'll be seeing Erin Baker come through in first place now in the ladies. A real big upset here today on the run course. Erin Baker just flying. Meanwhile, Paula appears to be in some trouble. She's slowing it down a bit at the aid stations. She must have been devastated to see Erin go by after having such a lead.
Our race leader, Ray Browning, continues to take on Liquid as quickly as possible, as much as possible, to get him through the run. What would it mean to Browning to win 3 Ironman Canada races in a row?
Just to win this race, period, with the field assembled, as you mentioned, would be just be the high point of this season for sure. But to win 3 in a row, I mean, it'd be great. I'd love it. That's what I'm shooting for.
Browning is very close to achieving that goal. He is the leader by 5 seconds over Scott Molina.
And we're really seeing some drama here on Main Street, Penticton. Look at that, 5 seconds, but look what's happened to Molina. He has stopped. That's the closest he has come on the run. He's pulled back all sorts of time, but now he's stopping to stretch. Something must be pulling on the back of his legs. Remember, he wants to finish this race, so he's probably doing what he has to do to at least complete it. But that must hurt him to get that close and see a possible victory in his sights after getting the flat tires on the bike. He's walking. He'll be wondering what's happening behind him. He wants to at least maintain that second position. He's back running again. Can he make up this time? He's lost about 15 more seconds there to Browning.
Disappointment and frustration for the one they call the Terminator, who had Ray Browning in his sights, but unfortunately has run into problems.
But our leader in the women's race also out there, we've got Erin Baker, who's opening up more and more of a gap. Let's go to Michelle Gibson to find out about Paula Newby-Fraser.
Paula Newby-Fraser has got to be experiencing some disappointment right now, too. She is walking. She's got a very comfortable lead over the third-place contender, Jan Wanklin, but she is far behind Erin Baker, who is trucking along very, very strongly right now. Paula Newby-Fraser obviously pacing herself, getting as much water into her system as she can to try to pick up the pace again. She has got to finish.
Thank you, Michelle. As we look down Main Street, Penticton, we can see our race leader, Ray Browning,
Behind him, Scott Molina, and then Scott Tinley. That is Molina. You remember he stopped a few moments ago with some sort of cramp in his leg, and that has opened the door for Ray Browning.
Indeed he has, and he's only got about 200 meters to go. The crowd is roaring their approval at Ray. Remember, he is a two-time winner of New Zealand, a two-time winner of Japan, and today he's going to become a three-time winner here in Penticton at Ironman Canada. He's going to set a new course record and a personal best for an Ironman distance.
Ray Browning with the hands up. He knows he has got this race won. A third straight Ironman Canada victory for Ray Browning. And what a time this is going to be. This will shatter the old mark by 11 minutes. 8 hours, 32 minutes, and 52 seconds. A personal best Ironman time for Ray Browning from Escondido, California. What a tremendous race from start to finish.
And as Ray looks around, he's going to be seeing very shortly Scott Molina as he's about to make the final turn. And what a day for this man. A great disappointment on the bike portion for him as he fell back to fourth place after having a flat. But what a gutty run. Is probably going to be the fastest marathon split today in the men's. He's on about a 2:48 pace for the marathon, and he's coming in to take second place overall. His first time here in Penticton as he approaches that finish line. He sees 8 hours, 33 minutes on the clock. He is going to be a little disappointed. He shows that there because it's not a personal best for him overall. Did that in a way, but today, second place with a time of 8:33.43 for the Terminator, Scott Molina.
And his time was the best in the marathon run, 2 hours, 47 minutes and 47 seconds. And now Scott Tinley is coming in to take third place.
And again, the closest race we've ever seen here. Less than 3 minutes in it between the top three. Scott Tinley, the man who held the lead, did the fastest bike split. The man who's a two-time winner in Hawaii. He has previously won in Japan, in Sweden and New Zealand. And he is about to come up and claim that third place. And again, look at the clock under the old record. 8 hours, 34 minutes and 21 seconds for Scott Tinley.
A tremendous race for Scott Tinley. That time, 8 hours, 34 minutes and 21 seconds. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. And I'm sure that Paul Huddle will be happy with his time and his placing. Fourth place for Huddle.
Indeed, he should be. This is the man who came second in Japan to Ray. And today, a very similar time. 8 hours, 40 minutes and 22 seconds for Paul Huddle.
Erin Baker is certainly on world record time for the marathon run in the Ironman. She has a sizable lead at this point in time. Kenny Glah is coming in to take fifth place in the men's race.
And Kenny's time, very good. 8 hours and 48 minutes on the clock at this time, and that'll keep him well up there for the World Series. Remember, it looks like Ray Browning is now going to be leading that series with Kenny Glah in second place in the series. He'll be happy to have finished that one. But back to our second place, Paula Newby-Fraser. She is some minutes off the pace, but comfortably about 25 minutes, in fact, ahead of third placer Jan Wanklin.
And the top Canadian is going to be Brian Countryman as he crosses the line with a time just over 9 hours. It looks like it'll be around 9:07:55 for Brian Countryman.
His marathon split just slightly over 3 hours.
And I'm sure that Brian will be happy with that time. Now let's check the final results for the men. Ray Browning, the winner, with a time of 8 hours, 32 minutes and 52 seconds. That's a new record. Scott Molina second, Scott Tinley third, Paul Huddle fourth, Kenny Glah fifth, and Brian Countryman, the top Canadian. Erin Baker has less than a mile to go in Ironman Canada.
Later today on Sports Weekend, Stars on Ice, an entertainment spectacular with a twist of Europe. The medalists of the European shine in a gala performance.
Having an older sister made growing up tough. I had to match her school marks. She got to stay out later. And she was prettier, I thought. Then she moved away, and I realized how much I missed her. We talk now and again.
The reasons for calling long distance will never change. The reason for not calling more often has.
Families do grow apart, don't they?
Compare this Tempo's operating costs to a similarly equipped Chevrolet Cavalier or Pontiac Sunbird, you can expect to pay $128 more per year. Raise any concerns?
Now GM helps you get the ball rolling. All new GM 1990 and 91 cars and light-duty trucks come with 10.9% financing for 4 full years. Hurry. GM quality lasts a long time. This offer won't.
Kurt Becker, married, 2 children. I've been his agent at the Mutual Group for 8 years.
2 children.
Just had twins.
Well, that changes things.
Now he's looking for more protection.
Well, how about adding some term insurance?
Change some GICs to an RESP for education.
He's still looking for investment and growth.
Well, then he should hold on to his mutual fund.
Makes sense.
That's one approach. Now what else can we show him?
The Mutual Group and you, facing tomorrow together.
My husband, Larry, he's sort of stingy with compliments. I guess he takes my looks for granted. But a few days ago, he said, Rosie, you really do have nice skin. It was just a little comment, but I was shocked.
Dove contains 1/4 moisturizing cream. It won't dry your face like soap.
I've been using Dove for a week, and it really does make a difference. My face feels more moist, not as dry. Hey, it took Larry 13 years to comment on my skin. Dove must be an excellent product.
The Ironman Triathlon on Sports Weekend, brought to you by Budweiser. The clean, crisp taste that says, this Bud's for you.
Erin Baker, this remarkable athlete from New Zealand, is going to be the first woman to cross the line, and it looks as if she'll be 10th overall. A remarkable performance from Baker.
Steve, it's hard to find words to adequately describe the quality of her performance today. Not only are we going to see a course record, but a world record for the marathon portion of an Ironman triathlon by a lady. Look at this, 9:05 on the clock. We have got a marathon split around 2:50. That'll be 16 minutes better than the world record as she hits a tape 9:05.28 for Erin Baker, the 1990 Ironman Canada Women's Champion. We have just witnessed one of the greatest athletic performances in the history of the sport. And while this phenomenal athlete receives the accolades of the crowd, let's go to Steve Armitage, who is with the men's winner, Ray Browning.
Ray, if Bud is the king of beers, you are the king of Ironman Canada, sir. 3 races, 3 victories.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. This was the best so far, that's for sure. It really felt good this time.
Was it the best because there was such a good field here that may have pushed you?
Absolutely, without question. With, you know, Scott Molina and Scott Tinley, we were all right there in the run, and you just couldn't let up. There was no point in the race that you could say, oh, okay, I take a little break here. You know, it just never happened. It was just, you had to push hard the whole way. And those are the best races to win. I mean, you know, Scott got to within like 8 seconds of me at one point. You know, about 50 yards, 40 yards. And I never looked back, but I kept hearing back there, you know. Oh, what's going on back there? So, yeah, this one means a lot to me.
And it meant a lot to the people who watched him compete today. A marvelous performance from Ray Browning, and a marvelous performance turned in by this lady, Paula Newby-Fraser, who takes 2nd place.
And her time, 9 hours, 21 minutes and 6 seconds. Easily breaking the old record also, but some 15 minutes back of today's winner, Erin Baker. So they reversed the positions they had in Japan.
Remember the big lead she had on the bike, dissipated on the run. Jan Wanklin comes in to take 3rd place in the women's race with a time of 9 hours, 46 minutes, and 6 seconds.
Erin Baker, congratulations on a tremendous win.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy.
You must be pleased with that time.
Well, yeah, I had, you know, no idea really what my final time was going to be. I ran great, and that was, you know, sort of where I said to you yesterday I was hoping to put a run together sometime, and I finally did, so that's where it made a difference.
And the first Canadian to finish, coming through the line, it is Lori Bowden of Toronto. Her time, 10:26.32, a personal best by some 48 minutes.
And that was good enough to leave her in 7th place in the women's race. But the one that nobody could catch today was Erin Baker of New Zealand with that phenomenal clocking of 9 hours, 5 minutes, and 28 seconds, and a world record time in the marathon for Erin Baker. Paula Newby-Fraser was second, and Jan Wanklin finished in third place. But there are many stories in the Ironman, Steve, and this is just one of them.
It is. A man we've seen here before, a man who held a record for his age group. He's done a sub-15-hour clocking before, but today we're looking at a 15-hour plus clocking for Art Baker, the oldest man in the field, making the final turn there with about 80 meters left to go. 64 years of age. He's from Duncan, British Columbia. He will be finishing today second in his age group. His time just slightly over 15 hours. A couple of others who couldn't finish today, unfortunately, Scotty Webster, the man in the wheelchair, and Bonnie Dirty, the lady who was first out of the swim in the women's race. David Kirk, what happened to him? He finished 32nd overall, the final man to get under 10 hours in today's course. And 60-year-old Madonna Buddha set a personal best on the course by 19 minutes and set an age group record of 13 hours, 34 minutes and 52 seconds.
And as Art Baker crosses the line, our congratulations to all those who took part, to the winners, to those who posted personal bests, and to those who finished. Now for Steve King, I'm Steve Armitage. So long from Ironman Canada.
And thank you very much to you both. We have a word in, just in, from the Jockey Club Gold